Hello there, fellow NPCs. I am Scythe, and today we're going to continue to play the ladder. I just recorded the last episode that you saw, which was 1 week ago, and I am still kind of distraught, I guess is the word. But it also made me learn something. Let's see here if I can find it. I guess I had to go out of the game. I did save, right? Yeah, I did save. Return to the main menu. But yeah, there is no way in hell that Zachary is alive. Because... let's see... CGs... Yeah, here, memory fragments. We got 2 of them. And only... With this one we only got when Rebecca died. And so this one we also got when Zachary died. And memory fragments. Okay, so I don't know what's going on here. But I thought here that there was a sexual abuse situation going on. But here there is something going on between either these two or these two. The hand seems to be stretching for the man. So the cat is just something. Yeah. So I'm guessing that after that thing that happened in the last picture, they actually did have a good relationship together, and she's a slave that was about to burn for witchcraft down in the dungeons. They are. They've been beating him to a pulp. They've already killed the cat. So question is this some kind of ritual they're doing, or are they just absolutely horrible people? Don't know. Well, let's go. Parties have never been really my thing. It's always such a hassle and takes so much time of my day. Prior plans and commitment cancelled, all for the sake of playing along with others. But before we continue that, let's see what Rebecca Gales had to say on her last day. Trapped with nowhere else to go, Rebecca called the one person who always had a special place in her heart. All to say thank you, if only for the last time. So, yeah. And this is the 28th, I believe. So we are pretty much beginning where everyone else is finishing off. So now we're going to get way further in, or it's at least going to be way more detailed from here on out. In this chapter, at least.
Welcome everyone.
Yeah, the party is just about to start. I hated them even as a child.
Please, make yourselves at home.
You knew them as... Yeah, you knew Rebecca, so you might have known of Hannah. But Mom often insisted she'd slick my hair back, put me in one of those stuffy dinner jackets, and if there were any children around, urged me to make friends. Never mind how utterly loud or tedious it was also all for the sake of keeping up appearances. To some extent, lies have already surrounded me, long before I was chosen what I wanted to do with my life. Luckily, there was easy ways to tune everything out. Much of my mom's frustration, I always managed to sneak my CD player along. I kept to myself and to my music, had my own little world. Until I learned to observe. It's a simple matter of awareness, really. And for someone with keen eyes, a skewed necktie or a simple flick of the wrist alone could tell volumes about a person. I still don't like parties. Especially ones with as big and fancy as the Rice housewarming. However, when there's actual reason to go to them, I figure they're not too bad.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Besides, like it or not, it's all part of the job. I'm here on a mission. One that has the name Luke Wright plastered all over it. You'd think the man would want to remain inconspicuous, after his name was linked to several high-profile crimes across Loxburn. Granted, most of it has gone cold over the years, having stagnated without any lead or evidence, but that still doesn't make him any less suspect. Yet here he is, throwing a party in his own backyard. Although, having observed the man in this past year, I'm not even shocked. He craves it, the damn spotlight, constantly yearns for the attention like a neglected puppy. It doesn't take a genius to figure out why he's nowhere to be found in his own party. But that's not the problem here. What pisses me off is how far his reach extends, how close he has creeped into the lives of the people I care about. Again, like a stubborn itch you couldn't be rid of. First, Professor Clark. Then, there's Isabella. I also spotted Seaman here a while ago. And now there's also Rebecca. Right. If you did hate them from the beginning, of course you're gonna hate them even more when they got their claws in every single one of your friends.
Can't you at least act with a bit more shame?
Becca, if I find a single scratch on Shirley, there will be hell to pay.
Oh, they laughed at it? There will also be hell to pay if he so much as harms a hair on either Zach's or Rebecca's heads. Or maybe this is how he sees the world. Oh, because Rebecca was not happy about that. There's no doubt about that. That's actually really interesting. That Rebecca was angry at him, but as Ashton thinks this is just a fun goof they have between themselves. Worrying about Isabella's brief dealings with him is stressing in itself already. I doubt he'll attempt anything in front of other people, though. It would tarnish his glorious reputation if values appearances more than anything. That doesn't necessarily mean he isn't capable of it. More than, in fact. And on the off chance it does something, I wouldn't be responsible for my actions.
Those guys know what they're doing. They're handling cars worth more than your precious Shirley.
For Zachary and Rebecca's sakes, however, I really hope this will simply be another housewarming party. Even though something tells me it is anything but. Call it a detective's intuition or whatever. When Luke writes involved, nothing good has ever come out of it. I can't let my guard down here. Even more so when a familiar car slows to a stop and out comes...
Chief?
My presence here might be odd, but at best, but I have an excuse. One that this man handed to me himself a year ago, along with a heavy dose of flattery for the newly promoted detective inspector. Can't exactly say the same for my good old boss, can I? Although to see him here, chatting it up with Luxburg's rich and famous, isn't such a big surprise in itself. No disrespect meant, but the guy is obviously a social climber. What is surprising is the fact that he seems all too eager to mingle with a person of interest's wife. Yes, what the hell is he doing here?
Ashton, what's...
Oh right, because when we were playing Hana, they did talk. Oh, that's where my impression of him started as well.
Sorry, Becca, I just saw someone I need to catch up with. Longtime friend.
Oh. What the shit is going on here?
Oh, wait, Ash, what about...
This won't be long. Be careful while I'm gone, okay?
Hey, be careful. About what exactly?
I just realized that we're going to get the call from when Rebecca dies. Oh, that you are fucking mean. I don't want to draw attention to myself either. At least not until it's giving me a proper reason to spoil this little party.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see?
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again?
For now, the best I can do is wait and remain inconspicuous, especially with Chief here, whose motives are dubious at best. If it means having to pretend I don't know Zach and Rebecca, or forcing myself to rub elbows with people I barely know, let alone like, then so be it. I can't involve anyone. Wandering is out of the question as well, when there are guards in civvies stationed here and there. Sure, getting past them is something I could do with ease, but I'd rather not right now, when I'm one of the few snooping and roaming around. It would be best to try and do so once there's a crowd of people. And if their interior designers' drunken claims are to be believed...
Yes, well, what about Luke?
Okay, so everyone is actually having movable
Should we
legs.
file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
I don't think they had that in the earlier episodes, though.
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing.
It all comes down to how well I'll play my cards tonight. With a good hand, this party is going to give me a breakthrough I need to crack Luke right. Or something to prove my suspicions wrong. Maybe find out what kind of game my boss is also playing. I've had an inkling before, a few hunches tempered down by how much of a bumbling fool the man appears. But one does not simply deal with their rights and get invited to a party they host without wanting anything from either of the two. Or is it the other way around? So, with a last wary glance at the two, I head into the ballroom. I just hope this will not complicate things further. Shit. By the time their party is in full swing, night has fallen, yet there still isn't a Luke right in sight. The man can be quite ostentatious, but this, frankly, I'm impressed. I don't even know how many hors d'oeuvres I've already stuffed my face with. One too many, probably. The servers are already giving me a stink eye every time I saunter over to the buffet table. Blame your employer, not me. He is the one who has the guts to show up late. Besides, most of the guests' idle talk is concentrated in this area. Despite standing under the same roof with the very people they're whispering about, some just couldn't resist. I might as well keep an ear out for any useful info.
Is Suarez still fixing that tech problem?
Tech problem. It's been 3 years. Sooner or later, the Blighter will put 2 and 2 together.
He might have already.
If the red tape I'm being slammed with these past few months suggests anything, that or someone has been pulling the strings. I wouldn't be shocked. This case would not have gone this long if Scumbag didn't have a mule of some kind in the force.
Shush you, we all know Suarez just wants an out. I knew he was bad news the day the merger with Evans Incorporated happened. Fair. Glad I did not have to deal with that.
Wow, these are some... I'm guessing these are all Lee's impressions.
But keep it down, someone might hear. The wife especially.
This kind of negligence has always been an advantage, but sometimes I wish I could be smashed drunk while doing this. Having sharp ears also means you got to hear the most unsavory things. Who cheated on who this week? One person's motive for bashing someone's skull against a wall, or a father's excuse for burning his own daughter alive. That sort of stuff. Wow. After a few years, it gets tiring. You get desensitized to it. But humans could also be downright awful. Sometimes there simply isn't enough brain bleach in the world. Sadly, the wine is a no-go tonight and mostly for show. I'm off for another drive later for one, and I definitely want to be sober in case anything comes up. And something always comes up in assignments like this. A detective inspector dying a cardiac arrest, for example. Because I can feel the moment my heart grinds to a halt, the second I shift my eyes to a corner of the ballroom.
Hana right.
Some will say I'm acting a touch bit paranoid, and maybe I am. This is a party and she's the hostess. It goes to say what she'd take time to mingle with. It goes to say that she'd take time to mingle with her guests. But Hana writes knee, never heard the knee. Evans isn't without her fair share of accolades. At least to the public, she doesn't seem like it. Unlike her husband, she's the one with the business sense, not to mention the impressive track record needed to manage a company. And right, that's true. That could be a thing. Is Luke telling her to not work in order to keep her away from all the risky business? Or effectively hide whatever irregularity there might be. She's clean as far as my agents and I have found, but it doesn't rule out a possible involvement with whatever her husband's up to. Hell, Luke Wright came out clean in previous reports. until I bother to take a deeper look into it. What I have found may not be sufficient to bring anyone to trial yet, but it's enough to nurture suspicion. This may be a bit of an overreaction, but no one lasts long in my line of work by being careless.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Oh, you heard that, did you now?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Nothing to be worried about then. She is probably even more careful with appearances than her husband, having grown up with the spotlight focused on her. Yet, even knowing that, anxiety stings, has been here since the party started. I brushed it off earlier, but wouldn't feel edgy, right? I got undercover in a party hosted by the very person I'm investigating. That, in itself, is risky and has plenty of rooms for error. Usually though, the tension passes around the first half hour or so. I've been trained to remain composed in situations like this. However, with each second spent here, it only grows heavier and seeks to overwhelm. An odd feeling that someone is watching me instead. Fuck you! You can hear the ghost, but you don't realize it because you're too logical. It has been like this since last week, but I should already be used to this. People will be looking at me, no matter how small or how big of a blip I am on their radar. That's what they do in these things. So you have heard her for the past week and you just think it's other people. You absolute dumbass. But when the feeling of ice burning into my bag lingers longer than necessary, I've been looking around every now and then to catch the culprit. No luck, okay. And despite my efforts to push the sensation as far down as I could, tiny pinpricks continue to sting the back of my head and the ghost of a cold touch creeps up my limbs. Until my gaze switches back to Rebecca and Hannah right. You saw that! And you know of her! She stands there, dark-haired and dirty, sticking out like a sore thumb. Even so, no one seems to notice. Although she is looking away from me, her mere existence here strikes. Disturbs. A sense of tunnel vision binds me while I stand stock still and gape at her, like my life depends on making sure she stays where she is. I feel trapped in her presence until another guest bumps into me, yanking me out of my stupor. Only then do I realize that I've been holding my breath. And that was it. Fuck you. Before I could figure out what happened, she's gone. A quick scan of the room yields no sign of her. The party continues as if nothing's amiss. I'm not really one to judge, but I'm sure someone like that would not have been allowed in a fancy thing like this. What has the security been doing? Are they really that incompetent? Was someone so distinct so easily get in without notice? It should have been an outcry by now, particularly from the host. She's been standing in almost at an arm's length away from the woman, and yet she simply continues her talk with Rebecca.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way.
You actually missed the part when they were talking about how she's always been in love with you. Wow. You have the absolute opposite of plot armor. You dumb fool. Is there something in the food then? Then I'm starting to see things. It couldn't have been the wine though. I'm every bit as sober as when I first stepped off my car. The hors d'oeuvres? But why would anyone want to do that? Why would Luger Wright want to do that? He's fishy, but I couldn't see why he'd ever think it'd be a good idea to lace the food he'd serve in his party, with someone like Chief Lee on his guest list to boot. He has been linked to narcotics trade, yep. However, that kind of tactic stays below him, that much I could tell. Unless there's a massive murder waiting to happen here tonight, which I highly doubt. So...
What the fuck was that?
yeah. But there's no time to look deeper into this even if I want to. Not when a telling silence come upon the room and draws everybody's attention to the main doors of the ballroom.
About damn time.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the right mansion.
I've been tailing this guy for a while now, but before that I heard stories from previous officers who tackled this case. None of which are pleasant. Mine, I'm not counting the incident with Professor Clark. Yet pleasant is glossing over the gravity of it. While Wright's good at covering whatever shady stuff he's doing, he's shown to be a really rotten guy. At least that's the case when he thinks none of his peers are around to judge him. I lost track of how many counts of verbal abuse and harassment cases the guy could be pinned with. Fuck. He even tried to make a move on Isabella back in the open house, right in front of his wife. Standing in the same room as him doesn't make me want to punch him any less. Actually, the urge is stronger, but protocols, my case first and foremost. My own opinion of the man shouldn't get ahead of my purpose here. If I want to put him into his place, it should be in court, with all the proper charges filed against him. And I'll only be able to do that once I gather enough evidence to pin this bastard down.
Welcome, one and all, to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are all ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness.
I really hate when you say that, presumptuousness.
So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses, as we only allowed the best to be served.
I just now saw that it is actually written out as scumbag, which is hilarious. Not even Luke Wright, just scumbag. Or Mr. Wright. Yeah, funny.
Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
Suppressing my annoyance, I prepare to step away from the crowd. Missed the cheers and claps, now is a good time as any to move. Try to find that something the McCullough woman had talked about. In the first place, I have no plans to actually shake hands with the slimeball himself. A fake smile is plastered on my face, while I pretend to listen to one of the other guests gossiping about him. All while slowly inching out of the ballroom. Unfortunately, before I could get any further...
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
Rich people only have two ways to resolve their mess. Either they quietly deal with it behind closed doors, or they create an even greater problem out of it. It just blows up in everybody's faces, one way or another. Fun!
No! Shut it, you monster! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here! You bloody bastard standing there with your smarmy smile!
I honestly thought we were going to get a lot more of other things now that with Ashton, since he's at the very end of everyone else's story. I thought we would get a lot of the new things, but we're just getting a rehash of everything that's already happened in the housewarming party. Not even a few seconds in, and this is already proving itself to be a big public spectacle. Why spend money on a television to buy daytime soap operas? You could just go to one of these parties and see the action unfold in real life. You can get free food too. Really, if I were an actual guest, I'd just take this as some sordid form of amusement.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
But I'm not a guest who's here for a good time. I need to focus on him, even through this whole sorry tale. So I'll wait. I listen. I observe. Interesting, isn't it though? That's the chief inspector's wife. Oh, okay. The morning after starts off quiet. Even the whole of Salemwell residences seems unusually still. The open hallway, when I step out, is devoid of tenants. No sound coming from the other units either. It's almost as if something's brewing on the horizon. Let's just double check what happened today on the 29th. Oh yeah, we haven't even checked his profile. But yeah, Zack met Kylie. Upon returning to his apartment, Zack was greeted by Ashton and Isabella. So that's what's going to happen. We are going to investigate something with Isabella. Well, let's see Ashton. Birthday, December 26, Capricorn, 29 years old. Height, 5'5", 164 centimeters. Detective Inspector, American Japanese. Christian, not practicing. Bachelor degree in Forensic Science. Likes Taiyaki ice cream, Shirley, Ophelia, old-time... who's Ophelia? Old-timey action movies and thrillers, kart racing, jazz and swing. Sherlock Holmes, Justice. There was little between his parents. There was little love between his parents, and though he grew up privileged, he found little joy in student life. He saw the standing... Damn, this text is small. He saw a standard testing system as a choice of... as a sure of, and considers his popularity among his peers to be an annoyance. Rebecca was the only one he considers a friend at St. Goretti, and he was no better when he went into university. If anything, his indifferent outlook got worse with his parents' divorce. He initially took law, but was quickly disillusioned by how heavy-handed and abused the system was. Forensic science, on the other hand, became fascinating for him. He served a brief time as a police officer before he applied to join Luxburn Criminal Investigation Department. Early on, he was too eager to deal out justice, but his numerous years in service became quite the learning experience for him. Now, as a detective inspector, he's been assigned his biggest case yet. Let's see. A peaceful night's sleep still does wonders for the mood, though. I can't even remember the last time I slept without anything urgent interrupting. It's a nice break from all the bad news lately. If it wasn't for the instant buzzing in my pocket waking me up, I'd sleep in. The ringing has stopped before I could move somewhere private, but sleep has also been effectively kicked out of my system by then. Pity. I could use a little more rest until I have to face another storm. Of course I owe Rebecca an explanation. It doesn't matter if it's the whole truth or another hastily spun tale, although I haven't really figured out how to go about this yet. Unlike Zack and Isabella, who doesn't usually ask questions and are content with what little I could share, Rebecca's rather quick on the trigger. It would have to be set aside for later, though.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City. Baggers, watch out, can't beat me. Looking for trouble? Better not lie.
I was really hoping we would never hear this dial again. Ringtone. The chief's name stares back at me, almost as if mocking me. Sad. It would have been nice to just chill after last night, or maybe have listened to the news. Sure, it's the same thing we've been hearing lately. Still beats standing outside in a chilly Luxburn morning on the phone with my boss. Sighing, I answer it, if only to get this over with.
Where are you right now?
Now that's a tone I didn't expect from his at this hour. Just thinking how this will go already gives me a headache. Immediately I reach up and pinch the bridge of my nose to save it off.
This is why I won't ever drink myself senseless.
What was that?
Nothing, Chief. A pleasant morning to you too.
He's probably calling to rag on me or complain about his wife, which is really none of my business unless it affects my case. It seems like the usual rich man cheats on wife deal. Although I would have followed up on it if it were somebody else's wife. But figuring it's the chief's, hey, I trust him to come clean if the missus is related to the Wright's shady dealings. This is why I left before they even hauled the woman out last night. I'm not going to go around investigating cheating husbands and wives when it's probably just that. Chief appears to have a different idea in mind, though.
There's nothing pleasant in the morning. Anyway, where are you? I told you millions of times before to keep your lines open.
He did, and not only him. Zack, Rebecca, Isabella, all of them have said the same thing numerous times in the past. But I was undercover last night. A phone call is the last thing I want to happen, when there are other things I need to focus on at the time. Besides, we have radios and work-issued phones. Why isn't he using those channels if this is urgent?
Just woke up, sir. As awesome as it is to hear your voice this morning, it really is early. If you could give me a few minutes just to wake myself up, that'd be swell.
No need for that. This won't take long.
Is something wrong? Am I needed at the precinct ASAP?
Oh no, everything's good over there. Just... Look, kid. Pray. Don't take this personally, alright?
Are you gonna tell me to jump abort the case?
You're off the Luxborn phone case. Starting today.
Oh, that's mean. That's evil. Well, I did not expect to hear that either. This must be some kind of cosmic joke. Although some awkward seconds to pass, Chief must be pulling another one of his awful pranks. Out of his bad mood or severe hangover maybe. Everyone knows that when given the chance, he exercises no control with his drinking. If it wasn't for his wife causing a stir, he'd probably be trashed an hour in. He'd probably be trashed an hour in at the party. He likely drank more after they threw her out of the ballroom. Besides, his sense of humor has never been good. It's just infuriating most of the time. But when he doesn't follow it up... If I sound a tiny bit frustrated speaking to my own superior, I'm not the one to blame.
Wait, no. What? Are you kidding, Chief?
Yeah, that's so bad.
Is this one of your practical jokes again? The temps won't say anything about it, but I...
It's not that. They're orders. From the higher-ups.
He was caught, and Luke told someone of the higher-ups. Jesus. Ah, the higher-ups. Yes, my favorite word. Since when did the higher-ups ever cared about the criminal investigation department did? As far as I could tell, they don't give a hoot if CID is filled with cold cases, as long as we keep the spending low. When I need to view those old case files though, they're locked away in the archives. We're gonna have to check with the higher-ups. I need access to these reports, see if the higher-ups would allow it. Every step, every move, in this case, there isn't one that hasn't been gated by some authority. If it's not the chief, it's the commissioner, or so they always tell me. It makes no one wonder why they even bother assigning it to anyone. Not a single one of them has done anything to help move the case. And they wonder why it has taken this long for even a hint of progress to show.
You can't just drop this on me. You can't just take me off like that.
I'm not the one taking you off, boy.
Yes, I can. And I'm sorry, Ashton. You're a good detective. One of the best I've seen in years, but...
3 years, Chief. 3 years.
3 years since that anonymous tech leak blew up. Since Luke Wright's name was openly linked to several nasty dealings within Luxborn's corporate world, some of them involving deaths. 3 years and I was the only one who made it this far, made much progress that officers with more experience weren't able to do when they handled this case. Just within a year, and with barely any help from the damn brass at that. Of course I'll be pissed.
Do you know what would have happened if I didn't work my ass off on this thing? If I didn't dedicate a whole year of my time on it? It would have gone cold, like every fucking case Luke Wright has been linked to. I saved this from getting thrown into the archives, sir. I'm getting close. If you could just...
I'm fully aware of what you've done, Frey, but the Commissioner hasn't been happy with your progress. Still too slow by their standards.
Too slow? Well, what about those reports I filed? I've documented every freaking thing for them. I've given you every important lead I can gather. Isn't that enough?
They need results, not a bunch of research papers. Not one baseless assumption after another. Concrete proof, Frey. I'm really sorry. They've already made a decision. They're going to pass this on to someone who's been in the force longer. Someone who has more experience.
Someone who has more experience?
And even if that's the case, and this is not just about the police, but about working environments in general, if you think that's the case, then you should assign another person to the case, you know, an additional person, not replace the current one. If there's a question about how much experience someone has, they should be working together on it. That's the only way for both of them to fucking get things done.
They meant nothing by it, but you're still too young to work on a case this big.
Chief, I've already done more than what those old farts ever did behind their desks. All of it, within just a year of being assigned to this.
Watch your language, Frey. Those are your superiors,
I'm not some damn rookie fresh out of training. I'm as qualified as they are.
Futile. I know it is. They'd never say it within my earshot, but from the very minute I stepped into their precinct, the lot of them had underestimated me. From their stares alone to be assignments I get. To them, I'm still just a kid. Too young. Too green. Too inexperienced. And once they pull that card on me, every argument I have gets thrown out the window. No matter how logical it is, how much I've accomplished, what the record says, or the amount of work I've put in every investigation they've thrown my way.
We're all aware of your skills, kid. You wouldn't have that badge and rank if you weren't good enough. However, this case is just not for you. Too high profile, too risky to put a good officer like you in harm's way.
Can he even hear himself? That reasoning is odd in itself. No one joins this line of work without knowing the dangers of it.
Don't I get a second chance? You said it yourself. I'm a good detective. It'll just be a matter of time before we can close this.
It doesn't matter what I think, Frey. You're off the case, and that's final. I expect all related files and documents on my desk by Monday morning. And don't even try to go touch anything. I know how hard-headed and determined you are.
Chief, please. A few more weeks. I'll have the proper evidence left on your desk by then. I swear it won't take longer than that.
Fred, it's too late, boy. I've already informed the other officers. You aren't to be allowed access until you've been given a new assignment. Help just keep out of the precinct, Frey. Take the weekend off.
Wow.
Seriously, Chief, is this about last night? If this is about me being at that party, I have a good reason for...
You were at the party.
It makes me pause. His weary tone, the sudden careful note in his voice. Slowly, a frown forms in my face, my eyebrows knitting together in confusion. Much as I hate to say this about my own boss, there's also suspicion in it. Hard not to think of it that way, seeing how he acted around Hana Wright last night. Is he worried? Why should he be? Everyone who's anyone was invited. I didn't doubt for a second why he received an invite, even if his presence was questionable. There's something wrong, and I've unintentionally walked into it. All I have is this sneaking suspicion, but when one looks at this from a different angle, put everything together. Why the hell I've been taken off the case might be in the same reason he was there in the first place. Fuck.
Yes, Chief, I was. For a good reason. A friend invited me to go with her. What were you doing there? I know we don't have a strict rule against attending functions, but that was...
He coughs and almost sounds like he's choking on his own excuses, lies. I don't want to accuse him of anything, yet. He's someone I've respected since I joined the LPD, even with his bizarre sense of humor and tendency to procrastinate. He's obviously incompetent enough to get the job done. He wouldn't be Chief Inspector of Luxburn Police if he wasn't. He wouldn't last years in the service without some track record backing him. Unless that too is a fluke. And what's backing him is not something, but someone. Oh. Oh shit. Fucking hell! Fucking shit!
Chief Harvey, about last night with the...
Why does it matter, Frey? This isn't about that.
Why does it matter? Why does it matter? I'd recite the whole damn oath we've taken upon being sworn into service if I can, but at this point it seems too late to remind him of that. He has probably already moved from serving and protecting people to serving and protecting his own interests. Damn it! I suspected the upper brass of this, even the lower ranked subordinates in the force, but from my own boss? Shit, no wonder that leak didn't lead anywhere. Someone closer might have been pulling the strings. I might have been set up to fail long before this fucking case had been assigned to me. But I don't want to just give this up. I don't want to believe I wasted an entire year for this. I don't want this to be the kind of news to tell Professor Clark after all those promises I've given the man.
I just want to know, sir, at the party, with Luke and Hana Wright, you were...
Monday, Detective Inspector. First thing in the morning. Every copy of the files you have, I want to see all on my table, understood?
This isn't...
Frey, am I understood?
What else can I do other than smile and nod? With my own superior expecting an answer, using that tone and brushing my questions off as easy as discarding a dead body.
Yes. Yes, sir.
He cuts the line as soon as the words are out. You're off the case, Frey. Just like that. And this is just opening up so many questions. Interesting. Ashton Frey received a phone call from the chief of Luxburn Police, first thing in the morning, informing him that he had been taken off the Luxburn firm case. Although his protest fell on deaf ears, this sudden turn of events proved a hunch. And there's nothing in between, but there can still be something in there, I guess. Yeah, there can. But yeah, this opens up more questions. First of all, how fucking stupid are you to not see the ghost that's been haunting you for the past week? 2, who's Professor Clark? Do we even know that man yet? And yeah, just who is it that Luke and his compatriots have been bribing off in the Luxburn Police Department? All this and more you will find in, maybe not the next one, but in the future episodes of the letter. If you want to watch anything else that I've been playing, you can find it at the bottom of the screen. And remember, just because you're not the main character doesn't mean you're not important. Goodbye, everyone.